Good day, everyone, to everyone present here today, the public hearing held by Panel B of the Prosecutor's Evaluation Commission. My name is Virginia Moraro. I'm the president of the panel, and I declare this meeting open. Our Prosecutor's Evaluation Commission is established and exercises its powers in accordance with the provisions of Law number 252 from 2023 on the external evaluation of judges and prosecutors. Thus, the law expressly establishes that this commission evaluates the ethical and financial integrity of prosecutors who are mentioned in Article 3, Paragraph 1 of the respective law as subjects of the evaluation. The panel conducting this hearing is composed of 3 members of the Commission and was established to evaluate the subjects in accordance with the provisions of Article 15 of mentioned law on May 31, 2024. I'm here with Cornel Lebedinsky, the national member of the Commission, and Mr. Irmantas Mikelionis, who is an international member with us from Zoom. As well, on the evaluation subject, we have here the prosecutor from the Anticorruption office, Mr. Alexandru Cernei. Mr. Alexandru Cernei, good day and welcome to this hearing. Good day to everyone, and I'm happy to be here. Today's hearing is being held in accordance with the provision of Article 16 of the mentioned law and the regulation of the organization and functioning of the Commission approved on Law 252. And you'll have the opportunity at the end of the hearing to come with the closing word in case you wish to do so. The same, the panel and the Commission is assisted in the hearings and along the whole process of the evaluation by the Secretariat members. This hearing is open to the public and media. This hearing is being conducted with simultaneous translation into Romanian and English to allow for the participants, and please don't talk too fast in order to ensure an exact translation for the public. Also, according to the provisions of the law, we have audio and video recording available for 30 days from the recording, and these recordings will be available on the official website of the Commission. We will start with a brief recap of the evaluation process of the subject for the Alexandru Cernei. The Commission initiated the evaluation process on May 24 in 2024 by notifying the candidate by email and requesting to complete and submit to the Commission the declaration of assets and personal interest for the last 5 years, as well as a questionnaire on the ethical integrity, which is from the law of the evaluation of prosecutors. You presented these documents with the annexes in the deadline at 6th of June 2024. Also, in accordance with Article 12, Paragraph 5, the law establishes that by submitting the declarations and the questionnaire mentioned above, the subject of the evaluation declares on his own responsibility the veracity and completeness of the data presented and consents to the processing of personal data. Following the random distribution of the evaluation file among the Commission's evaluation panels, according to the procedure established by Article 17 of the Commission's regulations, the evaluation file regarding the subject Alexandru Cernei was distributed to Panel B. On 16 August 2024, you were informed by email about this fact, including the right to request the refusal of the members under the conditions established by Article 10 of the Commission's regulations. You did not request the recusal of any member of the Commission during the evaluation. During the assessment, the Commission collected information regarding the subject and close associates in order to establish the subject's compliance with the ethical and financial integrity criteria as provided in Article 11 of the mentioned law. The Commission obtained information from several sources, such as National Integrity Authority, public central authorities, financial institutions, and open sources. The panel analyzed and evaluated the information collected in terms of veracity and relevance of the presented information. Therefore, with reference to the problems or ambiguities identified in the evaluation process from the information collected by the Commission and from the documents presented by the subject, the panel asked clarifying questions and requested additional information and confirmatory documents. In this regard, the subject responded to 3 rounds of clarifying questions asked on December on different stages of questioning. On all the rounds of questioning, you answered by the deadline and provided all the necessary documents as evidence. In accordance with the provisions of Article 16 from the law and Article 28, paragraph 3 from the Commission regulation, based on its investigations, the Commission has doubts and they will send the subject a written notification sending out all its doubts and shall set a hearing at least 10 days from the date of notification to discuss them. If the subject refuses to participate in the hearing, the panel or the Commission shall complete its assessment based on the information it has collected and without conducting the hearing. On June 5th of this year, the panel notified the subject that it had completed the assessment and identified doubts regarding the financial affairs, which will be discussed during the hearing, and also you're invited to participate in this public hearing. You confirmed the receipt of the notification and participation at the hearing, and also requested access to the materials of the evaluation form. On June 9th of this year, the Secretariat presented and transmitted or sent to the subject the materials and the evaluation file in accordance with the provisions established by Article 28. Dear Mr. Cernei, during the hearing, 1 or more members of the Commission will ask you questions. Please answer them honestly and completely. Your explanations are important for the Commission, for us, in order to verify your veracity and the clarity of the answers and to have the big picture of the situation that we have. When formulating our questions, we will take into account your private life and, if necessary and possible, the private life of your family members and close people. Therefore, us and yourself, we will try to avoid data that can lead to identifying certain people as name, real estate addresses, account numbers, bank account numbers, and of sort. Based on the above, I would like to address 2 general questions. First one, would you like to make any additions or changes to the answers or information previously presented to the Commission during the question rounds or possibly to the documents presented? I would like to mention that I have the answers formulated in the correspondence with the Commission, and I don't have any information to add at the moment. Your responses presented in the question rounds, as well as the information indicated in the declaration for the last 5 years and the questionnaire that you presented with the notification, are relevant to this day. All the information are trustworthy and they remain relevant. Thank you. Now let's set in discussion the subject that was presented to you in the hearing notification, the doubts that the panel has referring your integrity, the financial integrity, and the problem that we have here is regarding the negative balance for 2021, and the total amount is 121,620 lei, and it's the same information you received in the notification, and this is the information we will be discussing further. In order to summarize, in the evaluation and verification process of your financial integrity, the Commission evaluated in the established period by the law regarding all your income of the family that you received, also these expenses, to see if we have discrepancies in the financial influx. And we noticed some discrepancies between the income and expenses, and these are the questions that were present in the question rounds addressed to you. If you were to start with 2021, year 2021, you had an amount established of 21,674, and with the adjustments and from the information that you provided, but also from the information obtained and established by the Commission, in the last stage we reached to the balance of minus 121,620 lei. In the charts that we have in the tables, where we see the registered income sources and also the expenses, we do have questions to you that we would like to for you to answer.
So for year 2021, you have registered legal incomes from different sources, both from your salary from the prosecutor's office, allowance for the working capacity that you mentioned afterwards as being identified on the bank accounts, including your wife's salary, dividends obtained by your wife from a commercial company, your wife's salary from rerental of immovable property, and allowance for rearing your child obtained from Romania, rearing allowance from Moldova, and savings in cash. Bank savings formed out of the amounts indicated by you in round 1 of questions, including bank savings identified as balance at the end of 2020, which entered into 2021 on your banking accounts and your wife's accounts. Also, with regards to the expenses, number of categories of expenses were established. The first one is payments made by you for current consumption expenses, expenses for renovation of the house, repayment of part of the loan contracted by you in 2020, annual payment for your daughters, for two children in school, including reimbursement of borrowing from the mother, and as well as savings from the bank accounts and cash. The cash savings were declared by you in the first round, and the savings from the bank accounts that were identified by the colleagues in our secretariat during the evaluation process. I will not mention every amount. We have a couple of questions about some of the amounts that you have in that chart. With regards to the allowance for your incapacity of work, the 16,000 Moldovan lei that you have reported, the Commission has also identified this amount on the bank accounts. The first question that appears for the Commission, for the panel, refers to the incomes of your wife from rental of an immovable property of 201,775 for year 2021. You presented within the question rounds 3 agreement for rental of the immovable property rented by your wife, which include one category of payments for 1 year, and for another year another category of payment. So for year 2021, it is indicated the amount €800 per month. If you remember, you presented the agreement, the contract, and on this contract there is another mentioning in holograph saying that the payment for rental was paid on the 13th of June 2021. And in the last page in this contract, the same inscription, the payment for rental amounting to 400 euro was paid on the 2021, and the signature with the family name, which is different from the dweller. Can you tell us who has made these mentions on the contract? If you allow me, I would like to express my opinion about the aspects that were mentioned by you about this imbalance, financial imbalance. To make it more clear, for those who are going to watch this hearing and to the Commission as well. And then I will be ready to answer the questions addressed specifically about the amounts or circumstances that are to be discussed. So my opinion stems from these informations. This is not broadly mentioned. That's why I will express it at this stage, and then I will answer your questions. Okay? First of all, I would like to mention that as a result of the financial evaluation of incomes and expenses for 2021, it was established a financial deficit of 121,620 Moldovan lei, as you mentioned as well. I would like to say that this financial imbalance represents the difference between the incomes and expenses gathered for 2021 based on the calculations done by the representatives of the Commission. After having analyzed this financial imbalance myself, I have established that it's impossible that we had such a big negative imbalance for 2021. From the simple reason, as mentioned by you, in that year we had quite big income, sufficient incomes of over 1 million Moldovan lei, which allowed me to cover for the expenses incurred in 2021. I would like to note that this financial deficit has evolved from -21 to -121 after the change of the calculation formula for the incomes and expenses for 2021, particularly by replacing the indicator CCP with the indicator consumption, retail consumption expenses, as well as because of the fact that you didn't take into account the arguments brought by me within the emails, the correspondence. Also, I would like to mention that at the stage when the assessment, the evaluation was conducted, and when I answered the round of questions, the regulation for organization and operation of the Commission didn't stipulate such a formula for calculation. This regulation was amended on 26th of May 2025, and I answered the last round of questions on the before 21st of May 2025. That is why I consider that this formula is contradictory to a principle of the law 252, which is equity, fairness of the evaluation procedure. I'm not saying it is not logical or it is not correct to have this formula, because afterwards it was updated. And in my opinion, well, you can't neglect you didn't have such expenses, but procedurally, we didn't have a legal foundation for the formula based on which the initial calculations were made. If you allow me to make a remark about the formula, although the regulation stipulates for the calculation formula, the regulation hasn't been changed. The amendments made on the 26th, they relate to other aspects. First thing. And secondly, the calculation formula includes some other categories of expenses other than the population consumption expenses. So the regulation does not limit us in including all the expenses identified on the bank accounts of yours and your wife, first of all. We would like to just clarify the aspects to understand whether the amounts invoked by you for the incomes could be accepted as incomes, and the amounts reflecting some expenses meet those expenses, or they deviate towards increasing or diminishing the amounts, in order to have more clarity about the negative imbalance. Shall we diminish it, or could it be increased in this sense? Well, this is just an opinion. I'm not imputing that there are some irregularities, but I haven't found in the regulation such a formula. After that, in the May 26th amendment, a short phrase was added which allows the Commission to take into account all the expenditures, which include all the expenditures aside from CEP. That's my personal opinion. But apart from this, Given the fact that it was established, this financial balance which is negative, which is imputed to me, I still consider that I did have available funds at that stage, which need to be taken into account in the assessing the financial imbalance of 2021. Why? I would like to repeat verbally why these circumstances, they were formulated in written and they haven't been accepted. That's why I want to explain again. Maybe there are some additional questions about what I'm going to state. I would like you to ask, starting from the question that I addressed you, the rental contract based on which you received over 200,000 Moldovan lei in 2021, which was registered as an income of your household. Particularly, we are interested in what represents that inscription, holographic inscription made on the contract. Because according to the contract, the payments were made in advance. And I'm interested whether the payment mentioned of 4,800 represents the payment for the first semester or the payment for the second semester of year 2021. The rental agreement contract was concluded, as far as I remember, in January 2021, and we rented the commercial space by a physical person to a legal entity, a company that had an activity in IT.
Then it was the pandemic, and all the activities of all the companies that were interacting with citizens, with natural people, they were suspended. So we didn't need that space anymore at that period of time. This is why it was transferred to this company. As far as I remember, in the contract should have been indicated that through the first pay was for the first 6 months. The payment was established of 800 euros, which was a regular price for the market at that time, and the contract offered the possibility of extension after the 6 months for another 6 months, if I remember correctly, and then the parts agreed the extension of the contract, and they signed an agreement on this contract for the contract extension and indicated the amount of money received for the second half of the year. What's important to mention here is that this contract was registered at the fiscal authorities. As far as I know, the legal entity that had to declare the money, they did that, and the money for the renting is confirmed by the payments that you saw, and also the respecting the clauses of the contract. It was not any reason to doubt, because everything was published and presented. Yeah, I understand, but can you communicate this amount that was made for the first semester, and you mentioned that it was made previously and also it was indicated in the contract. It was made in January or later? The payment was at the date of agreement and it was paid in cash. So it was paid in cash by your wife? Yes, I understand. You also presented the contract, the rental agreement, for the following periods, for 2022, 2023, and in the following contracts, I see that the monthly payment for the rental is 150 euro per month. How can you explain this price drop or this big discrepancy for a year in pandemic and this price drop for the following years? So the explanation is obvious, because in the contract, sorry for interrupting, but taking into consideration that you had the agreement with the same person. No, it was a different one. Why am I saying that the explanation is on the surface? Is because the agreement from 2021 was about renting the whole commercial space of 65 meters. The following agreement states that we rent only a part from that commercial space, and if I'm not mistaken, it was about 10 or 15 meters out of those 65. So that was the renting space agreed for the company's business, where they work, they conduct their business, because it was enough, because that commercial space have several offices, and for that partner, 10 to 15 meters was enough. And this is why the price dropped. In the contract, we don't see these details. I don't have the contract in front of me, but I think it should have been written there that it's just a part of that commercial space, not the whole space. And the next question I have is regarding the savings that you declared for the end of 2020. Which is 10,000 lei. And in the first question round, you had a question, and the answer was modified in the following question round. And this is regarding the cash savings that you had at end of the year from 2012 to 2020. For 2020, you indicated 10,000 lei. For 2021, you indicated that at the end of the year, you had 20,000 lei in cash. Taking into consideration the law for declaring the personal assets, everything looks good, but in the following question round, you indicated that this amount were in your possession at the moment of declaration of the money, and which means that you could accumulate this amount in 2-3 months. So what made you to modify this statements from the first round and till the third round? I did not modify the declaration. I answered at the questions depending on how they were addressed to me. At the first round, the question sounded in a way that we needed to complete a chart with our savings in cash that we possessed at the end of year. No other option. It was not stated that we should have indicated the cash possessions at that moment. So one moment, please. So the question was formulated that you had to declare the cash amount that you possessed at the end of year from 2012 to 2023, and you indicated this amount as well as other amounts that you had in other years from this period. So the logic of the answer, the logical answer to this question would be the savings from the previous years, and from following the logic of the question, we declare the amount at the end of the year, but we declare this cash amount when we write the fiscal declaration. We need to describe what we have in cash and bank accounts, and we write that in the fiscal declaration. No one is doing that. No one is actually counting their money on the 31st of December to the penny, and this is my explanation, that I was following the logic of the question, but in reality, all the savings in the fiscal declaration or that followed to be indicated, they should be just taken into account at the date of declaration. I understand. So at the end of the year, this money was not in your account, right? The 10,000 lei that you mentioned. No, they were in my account at the date when I filled in the fiscal declaration. But if we're talking about the year 2021, at the end of the year we had savings on the bank accounts. So part of this money could have been in cash when I was filling in the form. And we cannot, I will not state that I didn't have any savings by the end of the year. So by the end of 2020, you declared in the question rounds that you were having 10,000 in cash, and by the colleagues we established on the bank accounts the amount of 9,000 and something at 31st of December and consecutively every year. Okay, we had enough explanations for this amount, but regarding the expenses, so the expenses that you contested, that we established as a result of your declaration of assets, and I mean here the real estate, the house that you bought in 2020, it was established from the indicated in the form according to the law 133. You mentioned renovation spendings of 471 as renovation money, and out of that amount you forgot that you even paid a loan that you took from your mother in 2020 that you already gave back in January 2021, is it correct? And at the same time you indicated that these spendings are exaggerated, and I think you did the renovations in the amount of 250,000, and you have the confirming documents or checks for this amount, and you presented all this evidence. According to the calculations from the annexes, from the question rounds that you presented, this total amount was calculated to 151,130 that you had in 2021 and 2022. So on the documents that you presented, there is the date when you made the expenses. So you bought this house ready at 60%, and according to the assessment report of the real estate that you requested to be elaborated, you did not deliver complete data or complete expenses that you are mentioning for every year that you made renovations. Can you tell us, in 2020 and 2021, what type of works, renovation works, were made, if you can remember? Let's start from where the amount of 482,471, where did it came from? So this amount that was included as renovation expenses for the house, it is from my declaration of assets, which I submitted in March 2022, and also it was together with the evaluation of my house, and these amounts were estimated from the obtained incomes from the dividends that were around 300,000 leis, and from the incomes from the rental around 200,000. So this is how the amount of around 482,000 was formed. Following the loan, we constated that I missed that this loan was reimbursed in 2021 from the same incomes from renting the commercial space, so that the amount that was invested in the renovation wouldn't overpass 400,000 lei. And I asked the Commission to deduce this amount foreseen for the renovation, so that this amount would be for the loan of 4,000 lei. And my arguments were that the documents, the confirming documents, prove that we spent less, which doesn't mean that only those documents confirm the amount that I spent for renovation, because the renovation it was longer than I expected, not only by one construction or not one contractor, but different contractors with personal sources, with construction materials bought from several places, and all I kept, I presented, and this is not. This doesn't show that I spent only 150,000 for the renovation.
As far as I remember, I indicated what kind of works I conducted in 2021. These were main works, engineering works, external exterior works, masonry, plastering. So I indicated all the works conducted in 2021. And then in 2022, when I had a double income based on dividends, I conducted finishing works. And I also indicated in the correspondence with the Commission what finishing works, like painting, furniture, and other works. And I presented confirming documents according to the stages of the repairs happening. For 2021, I didn't even have documents referring to the stage of finishing works, but there are some documents confirming that. For instance, engineering was done, so other works showing the exterior works. But the problem is, I have no exact record keeping of all the works to be able to account for it strictly and to be able to prove it with exact amounts invested correspondingly. That's why I mentioned within my correspondence with the Commission that this value of the real estate is a provisional amount, provisional value. It's not a value established by the competent bodies. When I manage to finish the repairs, then the competent bodies will come to evaluate all the works conducted in line with the standards and all the rules according to the law. And then I will have a better, more clear vision about the realistic value of the real estate, the real property. But this amount is just a reference amount, as I mentioned within my correspondence with the Commission. I understand. But these amounts were indicated by you in the asset and personal interest declaration. And the law stipulates that all the declarations, everything mentioned in the declaration, is on your own responsibility, an affidavit, which means that you included data which is less veridical, if we could say so. No, this actually means that I included some data that have to be amended, rectified, not less veridical, because when I declared them, I was sure that this is the budget that was invested in the repairs, renovations. But any declaration can be rectified, corrected, if some gaps were identified. So you bought the house in 2020 in April. Over 2020, did you conduct any works at that house or not? During 2020, I haven't conducted any essential works, just on the exterior of it, using my own funds, and did what I could do myself, because in 2020 was quite complicated year in financial terms for my family, and it didn't allow me to make major investments right after the procurement. What works were those, if you remember, for the foundation in 2020? No, what works did you conduct in 2020? Well, I just made some, cleaned the area. I did some digging around the foundation in order to insulate the foundation. They started to prepare for the facading works. at that stage. Otherwise, we didn't do any interior works. According to the evaluation report prepared in February 2020, and based on the pictures presented in this report, the house is just a capital construction, the walls and the roofing. You can't see in the picture in that report neither doors, no windows, neither inside nor outside. Could you please tell us when did you buy and when you did install the windows and the doors, the exterior ones, and what was the value of those? Because in this case, we speak about much more bigger expenses. But you are asking a question that wasn't mentioned in the correspondence, and I can't remember exactly. You were asked within the question rounds about all the expenses incurred for the renovation of the house. Well, yes, but I could be mistaken if I to give a specific answer right now about when the windows were installed. Was it in 2021 or maybe even in 2020? I should check on that information. Okay, I understand. You bought these merchandise, these goods through contracts, agreements that would allow you a guarantee. Do you have those contracts? Everything that I had in terms of documents, I filed, I submitted those to you. If I hold them, I would have presented them, but usually they give a guarantee for home appliances, electrical appliances. You get a guarantee, a warranty, but not for all the works or all the goods that provided anyone would give you a warranty. Okay, I understand. And the question about the loan that you mentioned you received from your mother, amounting to 4,000 euro received in year 2020. Could you please tell us in what period of time did you receive such a loan and by what means or how was it provided to you? Well, it was received exactly in the period before I purchased the house, because I made the calculation of the amount that I needed in order to cover the total amount except for the credit, and then in the same month, in April, I received that amount in cash. My mother just returned from abroad, where she had worked for 10 years. I presented documents confirming that she had incomes abroad. For her, that amount didn't represent a huge wealth, so she was available to provide it to us in order to be able to make that transaction. Also, what was the way? That means also I reimbursed it in cash. I don't think she has any bank accounts in order for us to be able. In January, you said you paid that loan in January 2021. Your mother was present in the country? Yes, at that time she was in the country. She actually returned in the country in 2019 or 2020. She never returned went back to Italy. Mr. Cernei, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Should my colleagues have any questions? Irmantas, do you have any questions to Mr. Cernei with regard to these expenses?
No, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Cernei, thank you very much for your presence and for the answers provided within this public hearing. The panel has no more specification questions to you. And by the end of this hearing, should you consider you want to have a closing remark, we provide you with this possibility. Well, first of all, I think I would like to mention that the justifications provided by me today, as well as within my correspondence with the Commission, should be taken into account, because I had funds available at that stage, and would mean that the deficit for 2021 would be around 17,940 Moldovan lei, which is a non-significant difference between incomes and expenses. And it doesn't fit according to the law 252 article 11 paragraph 3 as a serious doubt. With regard to the concluding remark, well, this exercise has been an experience for those who were involved in the evaluation itself, but we should appreciate the effort of the members of the Commission and the members of the Secretariat, because they have processed a huge amount of information as far as I've seen. Basically, this is equivalent to a case that we are investigating ourselves. And in order to have correct and objective decisions, it is necessary to have experience in a broad area rather than just in the financial field. And there needs to be a lot of professionalism. That's why I count a lot on the objectivity, on the fairness of the members of the Commission, and I'm asking them to consider the entire evaluation period of reference, so that the members of the Commission should see that they haven't committed any violations during that period of time. They shouldn't rely just on year 2021, when some uncertainties appeared in the record keeping. In my correspondence with the Commission, I was quite open and transparent. I submitted all the documents available to me. I responded promptly to all the questions. That is why I think we had a fruitful and efficient cooperation with the Commission. Thank you and wish you good luck. Thank you very much, Mr. Cernei, and thank you very much for the participation in the evaluation process, for your patience, and for your participation in this hearing. The panel is going to deliberate and to issue, in line with this law, the evaluation report about which you'll be notified, as well as the Superior Council of Prosecutors. Thank you. This hearing is declared closed. Thank you. Goodbye.